Hi everyone, welcome to Dividends, the show for and about your College of Business. Great program today. We're going to jump right in with my first guest, Amanda Swanson, and good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to get into your story in a minute. You're the first nonprofit we've ever funded at the Entrepreneurship Center, it's a fascinating story. But first, we want to talk a little bit about who you are and where you're from and how you got to Mississippi State.
Sure. So I'm from Wheaton, Illinois, which is about 20 minutes outside Chicago. And what kind of brought me to State was I always thought I was going to go to University of Iowa, but so did 80% of my high school. So I really wanted something different. And my ACT tutor in high school, her dad works for the SEC. And her sister actually went to State. So she was like, why don't you just try State, see if you like it. So I applied and I got in, and actually I took a gap year before starting college. And I visited State last April with my mom and my dad, and I said, this is home, and that's what brought me here.
And what are you studying here at State?
I'm studying business administration and public relations.
All right, and what got you to walk through the doors of the Entrepreneurship Center?
So what really got me to walk through the doors of the E-Center is to kind of take you back a little to what kind of started this whole thing was when I was 16 years old, I started having fainting spells, and it happened once, and that turned into about 25. And then after that, it turned into about a half dozen different ER visits and doctor's visits, and just about 14 months of medical testing, which led me to a diagnosis of posterior orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. It's abbreviated as POTS. And basically what was happening was my heart rate wasn't able to keep up with my body when I was changing positions, such as like sitting to standing or walking to running, and therefore I was passing out. And what my cardiologist told me was it's the hardest thing to treat and the hardest thing to diagnose, and that since it's a chronic illness, really, you could die with it, you could die from it. It all varies because everybody is so different with that. And that to me was just kind of an unfair response to get from somebody. And then I looked into it more and I saw how many other people were suffering way worse than me. And I've learned that POTS is just as debilitating as multiple sclerosis and Parkinson's disease combined, but there's so little funding for it, unfortunately, that nobody really knows what it is or how to treat it. So I took a month off of school, and I kind of thought to myself, well, if you're not going to do anything about it, then who is? And I decided to start a nonprofit organization. And when I went to my mom and dad with that, my mom's a CPA, and she said, I'll start looking at the papers for it tomorrow. And here we are today.
All right, so the name of your organization is?
The A85 Cure Foundation, and the A stands for Amanda, which is my first initial, and 85 represents the 85% of patients who are misdiagnosed, unfortunately, prior to receiving a POTS diagnosis.
So with this disease, you literally can just pass out at any moment for any reason. Are there triggers? Is stress a trigger, for instance?
Everybody is different, really. What really gets me is when I'm having a hard day with my hydration, so that's when I'm more prone to pass out, but some people are really bad that they have to be in a wheelchair or they're homebound because they just can't stand up without passing out.
So you would think you would not be very active, but I understand in high school you actually you were into sports and things like that, right?
Yeah, I was my parents' wild child, so they kind of wanted to put me in sports to calm me down a little. So I did golf, I did basketball, I did show choir. I was a show choir member for 4 years, and all of that really helped me get my conditioning up and get going. But what really helps me is just running and taking a low-carb diet and really sticking to knowing my triggers and knowing when they're going to happen. And Mississippi State's been great about me having to take some time off too.
So how has the E-Center helped you advance A85, your foundation?
So the E-Center really helped me with our marketing and our social media aspect of A85. I came into prep and I didn't think I was going to get funded just because I was so different. And then I did get funded, and then I went to ECAP, and I was like, well, this is fun, but I don't know what's going to happen, and it did, which was awesome. And they really helped me grow our strategies on marketing, how we're going to market to nonprofit, and how we're going to make relationships with different doctors and research projects, such as we're working with Baston's Children's Hospital up in Jackson, Mississippi. Their head cardiologist there, his specialty is POTS. So right now we're currently trying to fund a clinic for POTS research and advocacy for 2020.
All right, so where do you see Amanda and where do you see A85 in the next 1, 3, 5 years?
So, A85 really is my life. This is why I get up every day. This is what really makes me just appreciate every single day more and more. And I don't want to stop it until I find a cure. And I know that sounds kind of impossible or kind of out there, but it's really something that I promised myself I would do, I promised my parents I would do, and I made a promise to everybody else suffering that I would try to do as much as I possibly can in my power to find a cure, and I plan to do that.
Well, we appreciate you being on today. I admire your resiliency, and you know, it's hard enough to be a college student, let alone one trying to start a business, let alone a business that is also a disease that you have. You really doing so much, and we appreciate you sharing your story and being with us today, and wish you a lot of luck in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda. We'll take a break. Be back with more in just a moment. Stay tuned.
So you have an idea. It's exciting, it's original, it's genius, and you think it could be the next big thing. But how do you turn this idea into reality? At the Entrepreneurship Center, we will guide you through every step of the entrepreneurial process and help along the way, from developing and enhancing your idea to building your product and bringing it to market. Our programs will help refine your idea and connect you with other creative individuals. You can collaborate with students and discover their brilliant ideas, learn from expert faculty and accomplished business leaders, and even receive money to expand your venture and start your own company. Whether your idea is a revolutionary product, app, or service, we can help. The Entrepreneurship Center at Mississippi State University. From invention to innovation, it starts here.
Imagine the next big idea from the next generation of business leaders. We are at Mississippi State University, where we ring true.
Welcome back, everyone. My next guest, I was going to say he was a student, but Michael, you were a student last time you were here, but you have graduated and moved on to bigger and better things. Michael Lane is our guest. He also runs the Idea Shop in downtown Starkville.
Oh yes, thanks for having me.
Well, you've been here as a student and you've graduated now, and you are the guy who runs our Idea Shop. So I guess we need to back up and tell folks exactly what the Idea Shop is.
Oh yeah, so the Idea Shop is kind of a split purpose facility. So it's split between a retail accelerator to help our student startups and community entrepreneurs start businesses. So when they have products, they can come in, apply for retail space, they can do market validation on their products, they can get experience with how retail chains work, which for a lot of these cases, it's something brand new for them. The back half of the space is a maker space. So the whole idea is that anybody can come in, get access to tools, equipment, learn how to do prototyping, all that stuff. So the front is where people can test products, the back is where people can develop those products.
So the ribbon cutting was actually in early March, but the center has had a soft opening of the shop for several weeks, right?
Yeah, so we've been open about 6 weeks now.
And you've seen, actually, are you surprised at the amount of churn you've seen? I know that I'm a little surprised at the number of people who are using the Idea Shop, and we really haven't pushed it out that hard. Has that been a surprise to you?
Yeah, so we've been doing well with getting people in the door. We have a good split of non-MSU community members and MSU students coming in to use the space, and all of this is without very much marketing on our side, since our grand opening was just a week ago.
So what are some of the projects people have been working on?
We've had people come in, we've been doing prototype work for people, so prototyping for their businesses. We've had people come in.
What type of prototypes?
Anything from educational tools to wide range, so porta potties, medical devices. We've had a good range.
And how does it work? Do folks come in and pay as they go? Can they join the Idea Shop? How does it work to have access?
So access for our space, it works very similar to a gym. You come in, pay a monthly membership, biannual, annual, whichever works best for the person. And that gives them access to all the equipment. For people who want specialty prototyping services, we offer that service at about $20 an hour in labor plus materials. Mm-hmm. For the people who live out of town or don't have time to come in and actually do the prototyping themselves.
And this is a fairly new idea, and particularly for Mississippi. So I'm wondering, you're right on Main Street, you're not traditional retail. What has the reaction been from your neighbors, the businesses, the Chamber of Commerce? How have they embraced or not embraced what you're trying to do?
Oh yes, we get it all. We get people coming all the time, don't know what it is, asking questions, curious. But the general reaction is people are excited about it. It is something different that they don't have experience with. But we have people come in all the time who are excited about the opportunity to get to know entrepreneurs that they wouldn't normally get to know, especially this early in the stage of their businesses, as well as the opportunity to have access to that kind of equipment so they can possibly be an entrepreneur themselves.
And you've got some pretty big plans as far as expanding this beyond just one person walking in and doing something. You're talking about working with groups?
Yeah, so our end goal is we want to do outreach to allow organizations to come in and do their work through
Like
our
what?
space.
What would be an example of an organization that might utilize the space?
So a good example for our community would be Boy Scouts. They could come in and do their derby cars and all that kind of stuff. Others are K through 12 organizations like First Robotics, as well as going all the way up to college student orgs such as Formula SAE.
So this is really just, I was going to say blurring, but almost erasing that line between the town and gown relationship, where you have the university isolated over here, right, and you have the town isolated over here. And this is sort of just merging that all together and using the strengths of each, the community and the university, to try to create a space that's new and different and encourages entrepreneurship. It encourages, actually, it has some impact on economic development in the downtown, right?
Yes, it does. So our goal is to increase that flow of knowledge. We have all these resources. For me, particular, like it's exciting when K through 12 class can come in and see equipment that they wouldn't necessarily see until late in their college careers. Some people, it's equipment that they might never get the chance to see otherwise. So
Or to afford the equipment. I mean, it's not cheap.
that too, and sort of some space limited, so all that kind of stuff. And it's just important to increase that flow of knowledge, and it
Sure.
gets our students out involved in the community as well.
Well, you're the perfect guy to be running it. You're not only a Mississippi State engineering grad, you also worked at the Entrepreneurship Center and literally helped build the space, so at the Idea Shop. So thank you very much for your talents and your expertise. And folks, if you're in Starkville, you need to come see this one-of-a-kind Idea Shop. We think it's a wave of the future. So at any rate, Michael, thanks for being with us. Thank you for being with us. That's going to do it for this edition of Dividends. We'll see you next time.